Welcome back. Um, let's see. This week, first, hang around to the end. I'll tell you a story about a white alligator at the end. It's pretty good, so hang around. Um, and a few of you have commented. Thanks for commenting. And Dad's trying really hard to reach back out and respond to your comments. So appreciate that. And glad you're liking this stuff. This week with January 1st happening, I talked to Dad and thought it would be a good idea to talk about something about new beginnings. I don't really like the whole New Year's resolution idea. I think mainly because I don't keep them, but I am a goal setter. I like setting goals, and so
And she has all of her life since she was a little girl.
so and I don't know. I haven't really thought about goals for 2026. Most of the goals that I've talked about have been, I guess, spiritual or church related. Uh, um, like uh, like my daily prayers. That's a regular thing. But daily scripture reading and taking time to ponder. I want to do that better. I think that's one goal I have is reading my scriptures and pondering on what I'm reading and thinking about the impressions I'm getting and what Heavenly Father's trying to tell me. And so that's one. I don't know that I recently retired, so I'm navigating that. So I probably need to take some time to think on what I really want retirement to look like. So I think I'll take some time and I guess I'll keep you posted on that. Dad, you got any goals you've thought about since we're
Wow.
not calling them resolutions?
Well, I thought this was your show. I didn't know you were going to let me talk
Oh
today.
my goodness.
No, I've got one here. I've got a poem that I wrote years ago. Was it 1987? Is that what it says?
It does say
That's the
1987.
year you graduated from high school, isn't it?
Yeah, why are you telling everybody how old I am?
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't have anything to do with her. Now, I wrote this poem, I believe it was in late winter, early spring of 1987. And it's kind of about a new beginning. It's about somebody that I worked with. Um, I worked with a lady. Um, it used to be the only lady I'd ever known named Jimmy, but I've met one since I've been in Arizona. I met another lady named Jimmy, but this one really made an impression on me. She was one of the nicest, absolute nicest people I'd ever met in my life. Um, we didn't work, but we did work together. We kind of interfaced with each other. And so I saw her on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. And when there was a chance to talk or whatever, and I usually make chances to talk, Jimmy was nothing like me as talkative. She was very quiet and to herself and just one of the nicest people you could ever be around. But in mine and her working together and interfacing so often, um, I finally learned some things about Jimmy. Jimmy had a son at the time. He was about, I think, 10 or 12 years old. And Jimmy had been abandoned by the little boy's father. And she was just a really golden type person. And but Jimmy was lonesome. She wanted somebody to love her, and she wanted to love someone. And she would tell me that a friend of hers that my wife knew um, would try to get her to meet people and introduce her to people, and they'd go out on dates with her friend's boyfriend and Jimmy, and she would be excited about it, or she would meet someone on her own, maybe at church or wherever she happened to meet somebody. She'd come tell me, Luther, I met this guy and I got a date with him Wednesday night or Friday or Saturday or Sunday or sometime she had, and she her excitement would build up to that particular time, and then most every time after that appointed deadline for the date or whatever, she didn't have much to say. And then I let a day or so go by, and I'd say, Jimmy, I said, what happened, young with the man that you met, or your date Sunday, whatever. And usually the response was something like, yeah, he's like all the other men. And she never, and it concerned me because she was really a wonderful person, and just a beautiful heart. And it concerned me. And I talked to my wife about Jimmy. She didn't know Jimmy, but other than through me, and I talked to her about Jimmy and some of the things that we would talk about. And Jimmy's friendship really meant a lot to me. Um, and one night, I guess maybe Gwen and I had been talking about Jimmy, or me, I'd been talking about Jimmy to Gwen. And I went to sleep one night, and I had a makeshift desk made in a bedroom that we weren't using, and I woke up thinking about Jimmy one night, and I went in. I got up out of bed, and I went into the other room, turned the light on, and I sat down and I wrote. So I started writing a few lines, and it was just like all of a sudden the the water turned off. I didn't have anything else to write. I went back to bed, went back to sleep. Got up the next morning, went to work. Next night, I came home, same thing. I woke up in the middle of the night, got up, went in there, started writing a little bit more. Did this 3 nights in a row, and I'd finished the poem. And this is, to my remembrance anyway, this is the only poem I ever wrote that was never edited. I don't think I changed a single word. I think this is this is the way this poem came out of my head onto the paper, and it's called "I'd Really Like to Love Again." Um, I once showed this poem to Ronald Craddock, which is, I'm sure most people don't know who Bill Craddock or Crash Craddock was. Crash Craddock was a rock and roll singer years ago in the late 50s, early 60s. And showed this to his brother, saw it. Ronald saw this one time, and he said, I think we can make a song out of this, but I never heard anything from him, and I never heard the song, so I don't guess anybody did. But it's called "I'd Really Like to Love Again." And remember, this was written in 3 consecutive nights, and no word I don't think was ever edited in this. I'd really like to love again, to walk together hand in hand, but my hands are bound with fear of needing you when you're not here. This fear is not some holy gasp, but a burden from my past. Without the help from up above, I'd never survive that one-way love. So now the burdens that I carry through this life as I now tarry are suspicions and mistrust, trying to distinguish love from lust. But let me say it as before, and as I've said it o'er and o'er, I'd really like to love again, to walk together hand in hand. And I did a little follow up on this in 2019 when we moved from Georgia to Arizona. I was going through all kinds of stuff, and I found a phone number that had Jimmy's name on it, the phone number. And I hadn't seen Jimmy since 19, what was that?
87 is that.
87. So I hadn't seen her 87, 88, somewhere along in there. And, but I called the number. This man answered the phone, and I tried to explain to him who I was, that I used to work with Jimmy, and he didn't, he was a little bit very suspicious of me, to say the least. And, then I said, I'd just like to touch base with her and speak to her. I said, if this is still her phone number. So he finally, I heard him say something to someone else, and then this lady gets on the phone. It was Jimmy. and she had quit her job where uh, she worked with me at, and she'd opened up a daycare center. And she said, "Yeah, I had to keep this phone number because it's my daycare number." And I talked to her, and we talked, and I read her the poem again, and I hope I sent her a copy of that poem. Um, but she was married. She'd been married for like 20 some years, and I was so glad to hear that she had found someone to love and then loved her back, and she seemed to really be happy. And I think that my desire for Jimmy to be able to get started and live the life that she wanted to. Um, I was really thrilled to hear that Jimmy was was married and had a love of her life. And didn't ask her about her little boy. I wish I had. I may look that number up and see if I can call her back again. But it's been 6 years since I talked to her then, I guess. So, or close to 7, I guess. But that's the story of I'd really like to love again. And now I don't have an alligator story to tell you, so I'm gonna let Jill tell the alligator story.
Excuse me.
It was interesting to me. I thought, or she thought she had told me before, but I just heard it just before we came on here. So, Jill,
Well, thanks for sharing that poem. I'd really like to love again, and hopefully, if you're still looking for love, and that's a goal of yours in 2026, here's wishing that you find love out there. And whatever your goals are for 2026, uh, share them in the comments if you want, and or any other comment that you'd like.
please,
And
please, please make comments and let me know. I'll try to answer, and I'll even try to adhere to any suggestions that you got. If making this more interesting and um, try to make me more interesting. Do what you can for me.
so, anyway, the alligator. I don't dream a lot, but when I do have dreams, they're very vivid. Like when I wake up, I have to like kind of like touch myself, make sure I'm awake, or was what I just am thinking happened? Did it really happen, or what? And then it takes a few seconds to realize, no, you're in bed and it's a dream. Um, but I had a dream, and in this dream, I was getting over cold, flu, sinus stuffy something, and it was at the stage where you're feeling better, beginning to feel better, and you can finally just really blow out your nostrils and get your sinuses cleared, and oh, I can breathe again kind of stage. So I had throughout this day in my dream, I blew my nose and I got one nostril cleared out. Oh man, that feels so good. I'm breathing, but this other nostril just would not let go, and so I've been blowing and blowing all day. And in this dream, I think I'm sitting in front of the TV at the end of the day watching something, and I'm just like, I can't clear that nostril. And I'm like, I'm tired of this. So I was reaching up there, and I'm like, I think I can get this out. And I yank, and when I yank out, I've got something in my hand, and it's about this big, and it's a white alligator. And I go, ooh. And when I said ooh, I woke myself up. And so I'm laying in bed and I'm kind of looking around. It's dark, and I'm like looking at my hands, and I'd kind of do that thing. Okay, yeah. And then I kind of laugh because I'm like, yeah, that was a dream. And then that was it. I think I was able to fall back to sleep. But the next day I was at school and I was sharing this dream, and I was like, this was wild. And I said ooh, but then I kind of laughed, like it didn't frighten me or anything. I just was like, oh, it's a little alligator, and it was kind of cute in retrospect, even though it was slimy and gross. But I'm telling people at school, and they're laughing. And I tell this one lady at school, Brittany, and she's like, that's got to mean something. That's got to mean something. So she looks it up, and she's like, oh, it means good luck or positivity or And then another one, she said, "Oh, it could mean this." Let's see. And she sent it to me. Alligator is a sign of symbolic illumination, power, positive influence, self-control, stability, inner knowing, epiphany. So, and then somebody else was telling me it can mean you're entering a more resilient phase of life, or that your subconscious wants you to tap into your inner strength to overcome challenges. So, and then another lady at school was saying that they had read one time that it means if it's coming, the alligator came from like your mouth, your face, or yeah. So, and mine came out the nose. So, it means you're letting go of like a trauma or stressful something in your life. And I had this dream just a few weeks before I retired. So I don't know if that meant something that, hey, I'm looking forward to this, or if I was nervous about it. I don't know. But anyway, if you know anything about dreaming about a white alligator, leave that in the comments too, and teach us all something.
If you want to love again, let us know that too.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, Jill, when you were talking, you can't tell any more stories about your nose. The last two stories you told about going through the drive-through.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
but that wasn't a white alligator. That was like the regular stuff that comes out the nose.
You can't tell it. It's got to be about something else.
Well, that's true. Okay. All right. Well, hope you liked it. If you did, make sure you tell us you like it. Subscribe, share, leave a comment, all that good stuff.
Please. And till we see you again, be pretty, okay? And have I ever told why I say that?
Next time, he can tell you.
Yeah.